Hey everyone, I got some happy mail today. I got myself a new All-American canner and I thought I would bring you along. My 4-year-old's making faces at me. So I thought I'd bring you along for the opening. As you can see, I already have one. This one is a 930, so it holds 30 quarts of water. It can process 14 quarts of food, or it can process, I think, 18 or 19 pints of pint jars. I really like it because we have a great big family. I've had it since mid-December, and I think I've had it running at least once a week since then. They're pretty easy to use. They're really great canners. Obviously, if you're just getting into canning, you might want to go with something a little less expensive. But here we go with this one. You want it? Alright. They actually have this one together, so this might be a little bit harder than the other one was. The larger one, they had the lid separated. I don't remember if they had the lid upside down or not, but I'm hoping that the lid didn't seal itself shut.
So cute.
It's so cute, she says. This one's a 10.5 quart. It comes together so nicely, actually. It's 10.5 quart. It's got the gauge. The reason that I got a 10.5 quart, obviously, large family, large canner, but I like to sometimes try a new recipe. And when I'm trying a new recipe, I don't want to make huge amounts because we don't know if we like it or not. So instead of making 14 quarts of herbed carrots, I can now do 14 quarts. I can do 4 quarts of a small batch recipe to try it. Or we have just one small bag of carrots, and we're not eating them right now. So I want to get them processed, and I'm not going to run that huge canner for a 5-pound bag of carrots. It would take up so much energy, so much propane, and pretty much the same time, if not longer, to process the few than to process it when it's full. So we've got their instruction book, which I will look over later. It's really important that you know how much water your canner should have. I know that this one needs to have 3 inches. And instead of taking a ruler to it every time from the inside, I know now that my finger is 3 inches long. So this one's probably about 3 inches as well, but I will have to look into that one. And we have the rack. This rack, who it's packaged by. They did a good job packaging it. This rack is to go underneath your jars so that they're not directly on the heat. It protects your jars from that major heat difference. And then we've got the canner. So I will obviously wash this before I use it. I'll get it rinsed off and use it up. But I do put Vaseline on mine. Careful, Tay. The box is the favorite part of the children. So we just use a little bit of Vaseline, and on that inside edge, right in here, we're putting enough that I can see it. I know some people say different amounts. I think in your directions it should tell you other types of lubricants or oils that you can use. Have you used Vaseline? Okay. So we're just doing that beveled edge. And what that does for it is when you are processing the food, obviously, yeah, we're gonna blow bubbles in our water. When you're processing food, told her to be quiet, but you know. Anyway, when processing food, it's making a kind of a vacuum in there, and so you really don't want your cover to get stuck. So when you put that in, and then you do your jars. I know a lot of people have issues with the lids because somebody on Amazon, one of their comments had been that their lid was warped. Well, I was freaking out because I couldn't get my big canner lid on right. And I'm going, oh no, it's warped too. No, it wasn't. You just have to really get used to it. So I am looking for, this has different handles too, so that's going to be fun. I'm looking for this little notch right here. It's usually right near the label. So I'm turning that one towards me so I can find it. And then on the lid, there is going to be an arrow. And again, it's by the label on this one, so it's by the label on that one. And you want to match those two up. You're just being really careful with it until you get used to it. And those matched, and then I twisted them because there's these little tabs. They go underneath one of these. You can see it. So, underneath. And then you're just kind of lining them up, and later on I will actually put some Vaseline on. They actually already oiled it, but I'll put a little bit of Vaseline in these so that it goes around those threads of the screw or bolt or whatever you want to call them. And when I after I have my food in here, I want to put opposite ones up. If you've ever heard of changing a tire, ever heard of, you do opposites when you're changing a tire, when you're putting that tire back on, because it helps to keep it level. And that's the only analogy I can ever think of is a tire, and honestly, I can't change a tire. I know how, I just physically can't get those lug nuts off. I have tried. I have even bent a 4-way tire iron thingy trying to do it. But anyway, so opposites, and then we have the lid on. That lid was really simple to do. You want to kind of make sure everything's even. That helps you out with your pressure. Now you'll notice this one is a lot smaller, obviously, than the 930. And I have a microwave above my stove. So you want to either be careful and not get one that's too tall, or you want to be very grateful for your gas line installer. He actually had the foresight to leave a lot of extra flexible tubing back there. So when I use my 930, I actually pull out my stove. The people who did my kitchen well before we bought it, I thought they were weird for a moment because these cabinets on either side of my stove are not like screwed to the wall. But that's because to get to this other bathroom, well, if I want to get a new washing machine in there or a new dryer, I have to move the cabinet so that it fits. So they were pretty smart there. But so we pull out the stove when I'm using my 930 because I don't want to, have all that heat get on my microwave. Even though there is clearance here, it's not. Well, it is touching. The knobs are touching the microwave. I just don't want all that steam, and I don't want the to have the heat happen on it. So there's my new canner. Now I get to try out tiny batches, and I probably can bring you along on a few canning episodes, canning episodes in the next few days, I'm hoping, with this small one, because you'll be able to actually see inside of it without me having to mess with the camera and move it. And because that one, I'm not very tall. The first few times I had to have my husband come out and help me take the lid off because it's up there. I'm trying to twist it. It won't twist. And that's when I was getting used to working it. We will still be running this a lot because 6 kids, gotta keep them fed. But this one will be awesome for test runs and for videos. And for when I only have a little bit of some ingredient that I still want to can, but I don't have enough of it to even think about getting this one out. So I think it'll be fun to have it. And hopefully you learned a little bit about it. And, you can, obviously, if you're just starting out, you can use a Presto, or I had a Graniteware. Well, I still have a Graniteware, but it was retired. It was on its last leg. It needed a new seal, and then the valve would stick shut, so I couldn't get a vacuum. I couldn't get the steam environment in there. Couldn't vent it. It needs some TLC before I work on it. So, but the Presto and the Graniteware work. These are just something that's going to last a lot longer, have a lot less maintenance, and I could probably pass them on to my crazy children out there, or my grandchildren later on, and they'll still be working. They may have to have a few replacement parts by then, but for the most part, they're pretty easy to maintain, and I don't have to worry about, the seal or anything. So there you go.